happening. Suntem live! Ok.
Yeah!
Acum să caut link-ul pe YouTube. De pe telefon, bineînțeles.
Oh!
Oh!
M-am auzit în ecou, îmi pare rău. Dar...
Ok. Hai să dăm share. Ai link-ul?
Da.
Ok, cool. Încerc și eu pe Instagramul nostru.
Cool. Am postat pe Discord.
Ok.
Hello!
Ok. Oh my god. De ce încerc eu să le fac? Why am I trying to make this look good? It's not gonna look good. So I can't switch between languages. I'm gonna start swearing in Romanian like I do at work.
It's fine. That's the true Eastern European way.
Exactly. Someone once asked me if I was okay if I got injured because they couldn't understand what I was saying. I was like, no, I was just cursing someone's mother's church. It's fine. Walk away so it's not you next.
Hi, Maria. Thank you for joining.
Hello. Still trying to add the link.
Yeah, we'll probably wait around 5 minutes for people to join. Roxy, hello.
Hello. Okay, Instagram done.
Yay.
I really needed applause for that. Okay. I'm just gonna open the live on my phone because it's gonna be easier to check. Hello.
Yeah, Hania and Agihara on my wall. Yeah, A Little Life is one of my favorite books. It says very much about my mental health indeed. But yeah. Oh, by the way, there's the play that's going to run in London. They're translating. Initially it was in Dutch, and now they're translating it in English.
I'm scared. Should I go?
Yes, we can schedule it. So I'm 100% coming. I'm not missing this play in English for absolutely nothing. So let's go together.
I haven't read the book though because I'm scared.
No, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. It's like, if you make your way to that one, it's on you, on me. Don't blame me if you read the book.
Yeah, it's on my list, but also it's so big. Actually, I think I'm more scared of how big it is than the content because I'm like, I can detach myself pretty well, so.
Yeah, but it's like 800 pages of good writing. It's like a pleasure to even read it. But I'm A Little Life's hype man, so you shouldn't trust me. Don't trust me. I'm biased 100%.
Yeah. What are you reading right now?
Oh, what am I? Oh, so I'm reading The 7 Moons of Mali Almeida, which is for the Queer Lit book club happening in my city. And I'm also reading The Bastard of Istanbul because Elif Shafak is absolutely superior. So, yeah, I'm glad I listened. It took me a while, but I'm glad I listened. But yeah, what are you reading right now?
I'm reading this book of essays called Blueberries, which is really good. And also I'm reading Cleopatra and Frankenstein. And I'm so mad at everyone that ever told me that book would be good. No, it's not. I've never gotten more angry in my life. I haven't ever made that many notes in a book just because I'm so pissed off. Everyone in the book is a stereotype.
Yeah, I've only seen it praised. So, when you messaged and you were like, oh, this book, I was like, oh, okay, you're the first person ever to have said that. So,
Right?
but I trust you more than anyone else. So,
I feel like I'm in the minority of like hating it, but like genuinely everyone is a stereotype. Like the queer people are stereotypes, the Eastern Europeans are stereotypes, the like I know there's a Jewish character at one point who from what I heard is also really like stereotype. I'm just like, it's not good. It's not good. Also, this man keeps having like violent thoughts in his head, and I'm like, I don't want to read about that. I did. I don't want to read
yeah,
about how he thought about breaking someone's fingers because he was like hungover. I'm like, just yeah.
lovely.
Anyway, not gonna rant about that book today.
We're waiting for the video to be posted for that one.
I'm gonna save that for a rant video that I'm planning. Honestly considering making it in English because I'm just like bigger reach, just so I can tell everyone that I feel lied to if they ever said anything that I'm good about that book. I'm still
Yeah.
not over Poland, that junkyard shop of a country. What?
Yeah, lovely. Not at all.
Nope. Of course, like the one Eastern European character has to really fucking hate his country.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yikes.
Mm, it's fine. That's why we're doing this book club. We
Exactly.
Yeah, we're reading good Eastern European literature.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Okay, I think we can
shall we?
start. Yeah.
Okay.
We're both
Thank you, everyone.
we're both unprepared, but yes.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It took a while, but obviously, this pick is Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergei Diachenko. Um, so, do you want to tell everyone what this book was about, or?
I mean, I genuinely thought this was gonna be like Dark Academia fantasy vibes, not an existential breakdown for however many pages it is. But it very much was very existential. Um, Essentially, the story follows Sasha, who gets recruited by this mysterious university that no one really knows anything about, that's in a town that no one's heard about. Um, and it definitely like has fantasy aspects to it, but for the most part it is just really about language and creation and existentialism. Yeah.
Yep.
That's my best pitch for this book.
Yeah, I remember reading it, and constantly at the back of my head was the question of how am I even supposed to discuss this book? Because I feel like it's so hard to grasp something like actually that you can put into words, which I think the book says very well how, words and meaning and all of that. So I was constantly just like, oh, how am I going to talk about this? But yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think as well, like, it's interesting how obviously these students go to this school, they don't really know what they're going to be taught. They're the subjects are never explained to them. Oh, sorry, let me just close one of my messaging apps because it keeps going off. Okay. Yeah, so like they don't know what they're being told, like what they're being taught, what they're working towards. And in a sense, we don't either as readers. And I found that really interesting because we start to form an understanding of what's going on at the same time that they do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. So I'm going to start with one of my like first observations of the book is the fact that it's not set into a specific time. You can guess based off like hints. So Estrelle in our Discord group very nicely actually mentioned the fact that Groundhog Day is that the name? The movie is mentioned, which came out in 1993. So obviously it has to happen a bit after that. And then, I don't know, hundreds of pages later, you have the mention of mobile phones, but very, at the beginning of mobile phones. So it's most likely in the late 90s, but it's never actually confirmed. You barely have even locations, actual real locations mentioned. So it kind of has like this fairy tale undertone to it. You get like, you don't have a time, you don't have a actual location, and everything that happens is just kind of suspended outside of the reality. And really interesting, right in the beginning, right, we have Sasha who continuously says this is a dream, and she wakes up back into reality. So it's clearly a world that is continuously separated from
Yeah.
reality.
I do have something that relates to that whole like dream thing, like not a theory exactly, but like a thought about it, but I'll keep it for later because it relates to the end of the book more than the like early stages of it. But yeah, what did everyone think about the book? I'm curious to hear like opinions, thoughts. What did you rate it? Because I think I rated it like almost 5 stars.
Yeah, it was a 4 stars for me as well.
Yeah,
So
I think something like 4 stars 25 or something like that. Um, and I think that's just like because of the translation as well. Um, because I do think that like translations do tend to sort of like sometimes take away from the text some subtleties of the text. Um, so it came off quite like chunky and like the dialogue seemed very chopped. But then if I put it into like say Romanian, if I tried to translate it into Romanian in my head, it like made sense and it flowed better. But I think it's just like the sort of like English and Russian.
yeah, definitely. I remember one of the scenes where one of the older students is getting really upset about his exams, and he's like, "What do you care? Just let me die in peace." And it's like, it's such a an Eastern European thing to say in that exact tone and sentence order as well. It's just like,
Yeah,
"Let me die."
absolutely.
And it's,
I'm
yeah,
certain I've said that before, probably during exam season.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, it's true.
But it does feel a bit awkward in English. It's like, just it seems too direct, too literally taken. But it was very interesting to see.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Um, I loved it, but need the sequel. Yes, same. And I'm glad that it's coming out soon and I don't have to wait years.
Yeah,
Though we may have to wait years for the next one after that.
yeah, it was really interesting. Again, we discussed it throughout the Discord on how the actual second volume follows a different character. And obviously, because I don't speak Ukrainian or Russian, have no idea what the book is supposed to be about. It follows a different character, but is it the same school? Is it the same magic system? We don't really know. So it's technically the fourth book that comes back to Sasha.
Yeah,
So I'd be very interested to read more within the same universe.
it seems we have a long way to wait to hear what happens to Sasha.
Yeah.
What did you think about Sasha as a character?
Ooh, very complicated emotions actually, because again, probably because of the translation, and actually, Maria in the chat is saying that the Italian translation was well done. The writing was very good and had natural flow, which we're very happy to hear about.
That's good to
Um,
hear. Not
yeah,
sure I can say the same about the English one, but yeah.
yeah. So, I feel like we were quite detached from Sasha, so you follow her all throughout this book, and you see her like, she's such a character that kind of goes from doing good things to bad things. So I don't consider her necessarily a heroine in the traditional sense of the word, but I really enjoyed following her, and I think the more I read, the closer to my heart she got. Like, I loved her drive, despite the fact that she doesn't have a reason for it. Like, at the end of the day, she's just a character who goes through the motion, and that action itself becomes so precious to her. And I related to that, and I really like that about her as well. So Yeah, but I'm still quite torn. Like, did I actually like her in her entirety? Probably not. But yeah, what about you?
No, I agree definitely. I think I really liked her as a character for most of it, even though I'm not sure that I would do nearly as much for academic validation. Like some of the stuff was like, I think that's a bit extreme for me, but I get it. But not me. But yeah, no, I thought she was a very like well constructed character, if that makes sense. Um, and like I get what you're saying about like she goes through the motions and doesn't really have a reasoning, but I feel like on the other hand she did sort of have a reason and like a motivation behind it that went beyond just like making sure her family is safe. um and I think it's exactly that, the being good at something, and like once you notice that you are good at something, being so invested in trying to be the best at it. Um, so yeah, I really like her. I related to the most of the academic validation stuff, not all of it though. Some, yeah.
Yeah, I really like um the whole setting. So you said, oh, like, is it dark academia in the traditional sense? No, but it is Eastern European academia, 100% certain.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Honestly, I would say that it is like dark academia in the more traditional sense as well. I just think that Eastern European academia lends itself to that aesthetic quite a lot. Um, both because of like the aesthetics of it and like the aesthetic aspect, but also because of how it's structured and how like the professors are and all of that, like the setting itself, the like interpersonal stuff. Because I think a lot of the time, at least in my experience having gone to university here in England, um it's never like the dark academia that like gets presented in a lot of the media, like in The Secret History and If We Were Villains and stuff like that. um those are more based on like the old universities. I think like in a sense Eastern European universities fit the aesthetic a bit better than like Western ones.
yeah. And it's actually kind of like a pet peeve of mine that so many like Western dark academias are so, the aesthetic of it is so much more prevalent. I think, like, I went to university in Romania to do my bachelor's, and like I was looking through my pictures, and it's literally just dark academia after dark academia, but it kind of like its true sense. And it's more like, we can discuss probably ages about like the aesthetics of it versus the reality of it. And I feel like Sasha is definitely going through the reality of it, like, moldy cold dorms that you have to share with people that eat smelly food, and people trying to do private stuff while sharing rooms with other people, the teachers that are so into your own business for absolutely no reason. And
Yeah, I agree. The existentialism in it definitely like makes it lend itself more to dark academia as well. Um, like the subtext in it does make it fully dark academia, in my opinion, at least.
yeah, definitely.
In ways, it reminded me of like Kafka as well. Especially when Sasha starts to go through the metamorphosis that she starts going through. I was like, I see this. I've seen this.
Yeah.
Okay, let me have a look because I know I did take some notes in the book.
Oh, could I ask, what did you think about Farid, the teacher, the first
I was
one that
I
she meets?
was gonna ask you that as well. He's such an interesting character. I think I was fascinated by like the sort of like relationship between him and his son. because he seems like such a distant father, but then he takes on this like intensely like protective almost role with Sasha. It was so weird. He's such a weird man, not gonna lie. What did you think of him?
I think him and then Kostya, his son. I think they're my two favorite characters in the whole book. I really liked it at some point. One of the other professors in the school, they say, "Oh, you know, you all hate Farid, but you hate him for no reason. Like you don't, not any of you have any good reason to hate him." And I think it's interesting how, you know, throughout this whole school, you have characters that put our main heroes through way more pain, suffering, and discomfort than Farid does. Like he's just there, but he's the, I think because he's the point of contact, you know, if you have to blame someone, you're going to blame the person that put you in the situation. But I actually really liked him, and if anyone else watching this wants to say their own opinion, I'm really curious.
Also, the way you like just put it, I'm like, was Farid just like the retail worker of the of
The
this universe?
salesperson. Yeah.
Definitely felt like that. Yeah. Um, yeah, I thought he was really interesting as a character, and I would have really liked to see him more in the story. Um, Also, I found it quite interesting because like he in the beginning he seemed to me like that sort of character that like a hero might encounter in a fairy tale that like gives help but is like also a trickster.
Mm,
So I feel like for the most part that's why they all hated him so much, because they felt tricked by him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even though throughout the story he continuously tells them exactly how things are, it's just I don't think our characters are ready to like suspend their disbelief and actually trust his words. But I don't think he ever lied throughout the book. He just is
Yeah,
like,
no.
you're either not prepared or this is how it is, but you just don't believe it. And it's really funny now thinking back. Yeah.
I
And he
think
has,
sorry.
sorry, no, I just want to say that he has the whole like "I would never ask the impossible of you" tagline.
Exactly,
With
that's what I was gonna say, yeah, and he makes it very clear that he doesn't lie to them and he doesn't ask for the impossible, it's whether or not they choose to commit
mm,
to the process, I suppose.
yeah, another very like Eastern European thing is how, you know, the teachers constantly have the speech of, "Oh, you have to like, if you really study, nothing bad is going to happen," and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it really true though?
It's never it's never true. But yeah, what did you think of the other teachers?
Oh, I don't think I can recall their names, but
Yeah,
what
I'm trying to find it.
I liked like the PA teacher, you know, that everyone seems to be in love with. Towards the end of the book, he's actually one of the harshest teachers. Like when they do their exams, their third year exam, he's literally there. I don't know, very intense. And I found that switch very interesting, also very accurate for a teacher in general. But it's like, you see, you cannot actually trust the person that you think you can trust. So I liked that quite a lot. And I liked the other teacher as well, the one that also had wings, and helped Sasha quite a lot. I like him as well. I
Yeah,
quite
I
liked the
I did.
teachers.
I really like the teachers. I was like, damn, they're cool. But very good point about Farid. I found it interesting that the students were like, "Oh, but Farid isn't bad as Popova, or Popova isn't as bad as Farid." But then it turns out that all the students have it the same because it was him all along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I found it that really interesting, and I think it's sort of that like we always tell ourselves that others have it better than us. So then it's sort of this like self-victimization almost, where it's like, oh no, we have it so bad, you guys have it so much better, but it's in reality the same person. Why do we think they got split into groups though in that case?
Oof. I mean, can we start discussing the spoilers towards the end and all that? Um, so because I think it's just because of their importance within a syntax and what they actually can perform to change the world. So how I understood it is that their entire magical system is that they're words, and words create meaning, and that meaning changes and shapes the world around them. So they are just creators of whatever imaginary world they can live in, which means the impossible doesn't exist because everything is possible under their own way of existing. And I think that each character obviously is a certain like grammatical structure, or I don't even know what they're called. Anyway, a function within a syntax. So they can be a verb, an adverb, a noun, etc. So I think it's just that in class A, you have those that have more power. And in class B, it's just the ones lower, but not less important. I don't think so.
Yeah, I feel like that as well is like very typically Eastern European, because like in school when we get separated into classes and the teachers are always like, oh no, this is the better class, and there's always like sort of a hierarchy of the groups that we get separated into, which is ridiculous because we don't do the choosing. It's not done on like merit or anything. But yeah, I agree with what you said. um and I think like it's really interesting. Like I wasn't expecting them to be words. Like that's not where I expected any of that to go at all. But then I really liked that about the book. I really liked that it came back to words and language and meaning, how words create meaning, how language creates meaning, how the things we say have a power to create something. I found that like really such a good metaphor.
Yeah, I was actually going through my annotations today, and around 100 pages before the actual end, at some point, Sasha says, "Has it ever occurred to you that we live inside the text?" And like, they just told us, and
They
I
did.
found it. I found it so interesting because like they're so self-aware that they're literally like, I am a person within a text, and I am supposed to become a word within this text, and this reality may be real. So I was like, God, why did you drop it like that?
No, I agree. I also think it's like really interesting. There's one bit where it kind of describes like academia as a panopticon, and I thought that was so interesting. Um, the idea of like always being watched, and in a sense, even when they're not watched, they feel watched because they know that their actions could have severe consequences on their families and on their lives. So even though they're not all like constantly being watched, they feel that they are, so that informs their behavior as well. um that's just the page I happen to open the book on now.
Yeah, and to be fair, the level of like invasion of privacy, it's impossible to think of the school as anything else but that, because obviously, Sasha has to lose her virginity to continue even studying in the school, because otherwise she's going to reach a limit that she cannot surpass. And like obviously, being told that by a teacher, it can be quite o- oppressive, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. um oh, I had another note on that, if I can even find it. I really should create a better annotating system. um but this time I use different tabs for different things, so I should be able to find it. Um, but yeah, I think it's interesting because obviously the school is not a conventional school. so it's interesting how the story is constructed around that, because I mean, a lot of the stuff you wouldn't expect it from a school, like the teacher student um connection, and like the teachers being able to make decisions about your personal life, like that level of like being watched doesn't exist in schools. So it was interesting um to kind of like explore how that affects them.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I'm there with Sasha on the desperate need for academic validation, but whatever works for her.
Yeah, definitely. But I found it really beautiful. There's like this sentence which I learned by heart, and it was like Sasha became a country, and Yegor, which became her boyfriend at for some time, was the capital. Like that's a beautiful way of phrasing it. And I feel like just because they were at different levels of development, that doesn't mean the relationship that they had any less impact on them. So there clearly seems to have been a need for it, regardless. But not that I'm excusing any of the choices made, but you know. And I also found it interesting that again, going to the students not actually believing what's happening around them. At some point, Kostya notices a statue, a horse statue, which he says it wouldn't fit through any door, which means that first they made the statue and then they built the school around it. How is that possible? And that's kind of like a chorus throughout the book. How is that possible? So I find it really interesting, to find out exactly how is that possible. And it comes back to how nothing is actually impossible, and they
Yeah,
have a whole world of alternate reality.
a whole world of impossible.
Yeah.
um One of the bits that I wanted to talk about, um oh, I'm not gonna go for the dream part yet, I'll leave that for later. um but one of the parts where I was like, I think I would call it quits at that point was when she started like metamorphosing and woke up as like her joints, she was like a robot. It was so, I was like, no, I cannot. But what do you think like the meaning of this like metamorphosis was? Because I was really interested about that.
Ooh. So you know how she goes to like the mental exercises, and she goes ahead at some point and she meets like the end of all ends. Um, and to me, it kind of like I think their end purpose is to create the whole world. So because she went ahead and with all the strange changes, she was literally just creating her own mind, was creating a reality within her. I found it very distressing as well, especially reading about her own distress because she's going home for the holidays and she has to constantly try and hide those changes. And to me, it was very frustrating. I mean, yeah, but it was frustrating to read about her family as well. Even though I know that they're used in that way by, again, her school for them to act like that and to not care about her at all. But it was very, I don't know, it kept me on the edge of my seat, reading through those physical changes and how they can be perceived by her own family and her trying to constantly hide them.
And I think to me it was interesting as well how sort of these like physical changes reflected the mental changes that otherwise wouldn't be as obvious. Even though there is one part where she goes home and she's talking to her mother and she's like, it felt mean to say, but she was not as intelligent as she seemed before. And sort of like, I feel like the physical changes for the most part represented that mental advancement as well, where the mental barriers started to come down and so the physical ones started to as well. And I thought it was like an interesting reflection. the other part that I was curious to hear your thoughts on was when she gets that extension on her work and the time loop.
Ooh. Hmm. Do I even have like special thought? Again, it's like so interesting because I feel like the book goes through so many different unique patterns. Like obviously it's her metamorphosis, Yegor, the time loop, and all of that. And I don't know really. I love so I again because I liked Kostya. I really enjoyed seeing how they fit together and how they fit so well. And again, the parallel where she saved him throughout an exam and then he saved her. And yeah,
Yeah, I thought you'd like that part. But yeah, I also liked sort of the exploration of how we act when we think there aren't consequences to the things that we say and the things that we do. Because obviously, like, she snaps at her boyfriend and she's like, don't ask me to marry you. She's really angry, not thinking, like, in her mind, thinking, like, oh, this will all happen again tomorrow and I can act better tomorrow. But then obviously, like, that's the same day that she comes out of the loop. So then she's stuck with the consequences of that forever, basically.
yeah. And I think it's interesting how she gets stuck in a loop, but then she gets stuck with the worst outcome of all the loops she's been through. So she's just, yeah. And I think it's a good point where what she actually cares about becomes so clear because what she picks in that time loop is obviously her own emotions for Kostya and her progression within the school, all this kind of things that seemed like she was ready to get rid of before this time loop. I feel like it made obvious what where her priorities were.
I also thought it was interesting how it seems like in the beginning of the time loop she's quite like excited about it because she gets to like have more time to work on school and all that. But then as more and more of the same day passes, she starts to get frustrated and she starts to get angry. She starts to get irritated by being stuck in this loop. So I really like that because I'm like, yeah, we all think like, oh, we would love to have a redo, but
Yeah, how many readers can you go through?
yeah, exactly.
And actually, there's a point where she says, "Oh, I'm not actually angry. I'm just going mad." And he's like, "Yeah, how much can you take? And in which ways you are going to show the world that you're reaching your limits?" So it's really interesting, again, the way she is perceived versus how others see her.
Unfortunately, I have to go already. Thank you for planning these. Thank you for coming, and
Yay!
we'll update everyone. And I'll try to update the Instagram as well. I was really bad about that, but I'll try to update with the next book as well. And hopefully, we'll be a bit more prepared.
Yes, thank you very much for joining.
Bye. Um, yeah. What do you think was your favorite part of the book?
Hmm. I personally really enjoyed the beginning. I think it was such an interesting way to lay out the story because you have such a familiar scene of someone going to the seaside in summer, and then things start escalating quite quickly. And I found it very interesting as well. Um, so yeah, I think that's it. I loved the part where Sasha like slaps some sense into Kostya and she's like, stop complaining. It's time to do this. It's not as hard as you think. Um,
Yeah, I
so
did
I
love that part as well.
yeah. And there's a lot of like scenes that come to mind. It's not like a big one, but I loved her and her housemate's relation as well. Wait, I did have her name. Um Lisa? Was that
Yeah,
her name? I liked that because I feel like obviously to me Sasha is a mirror of Farid, and she is supposed to become his double, his, I don't know. I find them to be a pair, but I also think Sasha and Lisa are a pair as well. Because
Yeah.
obviously they're the best women in their class, and they both came to this place in very different ways. And it's like, how can we so easily slide over Sasha's own trauma and pain and just accept it? But then, when Lisa does the same thing, and Lisa is a character that is full of anger as well, but full of motivation to be the best as well, and how she can be perceived by us, the audiences, like she's clearly shown to be the villain, but she clearly goes through so much more traumatic and embarrassing and hurtful moments throughout the story.
Yeah, no, I loved Lisa. I think she's one of my favorite characters as well. But yeah, I loved those like scenes of just like their housemate antagonism sort of, when like they get rid of the cigarettes and like Sasha throws away the cigarettes and then like Lisa throws away some of her stuff. I
Yeah,
just loved those bits. It was like on the one hand they were like opposites, but in so many ways they were similar. It's like the antagonism and then the camaraderie. I really love that. I think they were portrayed very well. Yeah. And like
yeah,
very realistically as women as well.
yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I think all the characters like Oksana and Kostya's wife, and we spend so little time with these characters, but to me, they're so much more vibrant than the actual male characters. Like, I can think of Kostya, sure, but all the others to me are way more muted. So I feel like definitely the women were the ones running the story for me, and they were the
Yeah.
ones that, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely liked how they were portrayed. Also, because you said like the beginning was one of your favorite parts. What do you think about the way like it relates to the end? Because one thing that stood out to me was the way in the beginning that Sasha kind of says like, "Oh, I want to wake up now. This is just a dream. I want to wake up now," and then she wakes up, and then at the very end, Farid's offered to her, where he's like, "Yeah, you can go back to your family. You can have your life back, but this will have just been a dream."
Ooh. Um, well, to me, it's kind of like clearly they're afraid. So again, at some point in the book, Farid says if they actually knew your true power, they would try to kill you to avoid like a universal catastrophe. And it's like you think it's because, she has learned and she has grown and she has become something else. But it's like from the beginning, she said this is a dream and it was a dream. Like she was a maker of reality even from the beginning. So I think it's the school was more like to take out a power that she already has. They were chosen for a reason, and I think this might be one of them. So to me, it's like it's clearly a bargaining chip at the moment to try to get rid of Sasha while they still can. Because I don't think after her full 5 years at the school, she'll be able to, like, they'll be able to get rid of her.
Yeah,
But what are your thoughts on that?
I was I was so intrigued by that parallel that they drew with the it was all just a dream. I want to wake up now. Um and also like thinking about the time loops that she's been stuck in, and I'm like, it almost made me wonder, has is this a story that has already played out several times and they're just like trying to get a different outcome essentially? But
Ooh,
that's
I
just
like
the
that.
conspiracy theorist in me, I guess.
I like that theory. I like it quite a lot.
Right? Because I'm like, what if? I've
Yeah,
literally not been able to stop thinking about it either since I finished the book, and that was like a month ago.
yeah. I'll need to sit with that theory for a while. Because mine was simply that the characters are very self-aware that they're characters in this book, so they're literally aware that they are characters in
Yeah.
Vita Nostra, and they go on like that. Um, but that's yours is better, I think.
I also love that theory because, like, yeah, they are part of a text, and it's the text of this book. I like that.
Yeah. But what were your favorite scenes?
My favorite scenes. I don't think I can like pick one even. I'll have to like do a quick browse. There are so many. Um I think one of my favorite scenes is when she returns home, and I think it's like almost not quite halfway through the book, but like a third of the way through the book. Um and it's like her room had changed. Same rugs, same books on the shelves, a new calendar on the wall. Sasha had a tough time convincing herself that it was actually her room, her apartment, her bathroom, and there was no need to wait in line for the shower and no need to bring toilet paper. There was plenty of it in the bathroom, lemon colored, the embodiment of comfort. And like that was so relatable to like the first few times I went home from university. Just like sort of that everything is so familiar but at the same time so like disconnected because like you don't live there anymore. You know it's your house, but like at the same time it does just feel like you are a guest in a sense.
That was also my theory, them realizing that they are texting can change, influence things. Yeah.
I definitely think that's a more plausible theory.
I suppose we only have a few
I
months
guess
left
I guess
until.
we'll see. I'm really excited about the next one. I
Yeah,
might
but
have
I
to pre-order.
definitely. But I feel like whenever I expected the story to go somewhere, it didn't. Like, it just went on so many different directions. So I would expect the sequel to like surprise me as well. Like, I'm thinking so hard about this book and I'm really trying to figure it out. And then, no, everything is wrong. I'm going to tell you something else now.
It was very big brain.
Yeah,
And in a way, it didn't even really feel like usually fantasy feels like very escapist. This didn't feel like it. This felt like I'm constantly finding things out and I'm constantly just like trying to piece together the same pieces of the puzzle that these characters are trying to put together.
yeah. It was hard work, but in a really interesting and engaging way. Like I didn't expect it because I mean I absolutely hate the font of this book. Like look at this. This is so tiny.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So on top of, having a headache from trying to figure out which reality, which mental exercise we're doing now, I was also staring at a page with way too many words on it. Um,
But I think one of my favorite things is the description. I think it's on the Waterstones website. I'll just go to the Waterstones website and find it. Um, because at the beginning, when I first got the book, I was like, oh, okay. I sort of feel like I know what I can expect. Um, or maybe it's not on there. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna. Oh, my internet is so bad. Yeah, when I was reading the descriptions, I was like, okay, like yeah, I guess like I know what to expect. And then when I read the book, I was like, okay, that's not at all what I expected. um,
Yeah, Estrel in the comments says, yes, it so often threw me for a loop, or I felt like, wait, what just happened? Yeah, I had to go
Oh,
back to reread so many things.
I think my favorite way that the book has ever been described, and now having read it, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense to me, is it was described as the anti-Harry Potter. I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, they have zero in common, so I don't know who ended on that conclusion and why, but I'm absolutely like, yeah, you're correct.
Yep.
Oh god, equally as tiny font. It's gonna
Oh,
take me another month to read.
yeah. But it self-published? Like, is it independently published actually?
In the UK, it's published
No?
by Harper Voyager.
Then why does it look like this?
Because imagine how long it would be if they made it like to like even 11 point. Yeah, it's Harper Collins.
Maybe if they paid their staff correctly, we wouldn't have such crime.
T.
Yeah.
Imagine someone just stood there and they were like, "Oh, I don't get paid enough for this." 5 point it is.
Okay, Daughter of the Dark, only 290 pages.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
that's more doable.
I feel more equipped to do that now. That's only like about this.
Okay, yeah, can work with that.
If it was bigger font, it would be like what, 400?
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear from everyone else as well. What was their favorite part about the book? How do they feel? How does everyone feel about it? I feel like our life was very like words. Like, was very just like not well structured, I guess, because like we've both been so busy. Um
Yeah.
it's been so long since I finished the book that like a lot of the stuff I'm like now I don't remember the details as well as I did then. But that's what happens when you get tonsillitis and then the flu one after the other for a whole month. Me, a Gemini not able to speak, it was torture.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh, but
Oh no. I feel like her being a password was really out of nowhere. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, the reveal, the password reveal. I thought it was like interesting though. Like the idea that all this time she had the potential to kind of like unlock so much as a password. I don't remember what I wrote about it in here because I know I did.
I think I was too shook to do anything.
I feel I might have been as well because, as it turns out, I just put an empty post-it note. I had a
Very
post-it.
telling.
I had a post-it note all ready to go and then just forgot to write on it.
I'm kind of like, it made sense to me when she was a verb in the imperative, because they say that the language of creation knows no grammatical tense. It has only one mood, the imperative, which to me, okay, makes sense. Go, do, be, etc. But the password thing, like, so you mean to tell me that there's no way you can constrain this woman from being what she's supposed to be? And I'm stupid enough that I didn't figure out what faret is supposed to be. At some point, Sasha says, "Oh, I don't understand how we can live in a world where you exist." And he says, "Oh, you cannot live in a world where I don't." So it's like, what the hell is Farid? Who is he? I don't understand.
No, definitely same. I
Yeah,
need I need like a spin-off just about him, to be honest.
yeah. Honestly, if anyone has any theories, please feel free to enlighten me because I don't know. I just felt so stupid reading this book constantly. It's like, okay, thank you. Maybe I do deserve to feel like that. Who knows?
No, I don't think. I think the book intends to make us feel like that. 'Cause after all, that's what it's about. I don't think it's ever like revealed what he is.
Yeah, no.
So we all are left to make up our theories.
Yeah, and it's like he's not really God because I don't think he is because technically he's not even like the director of the school.
Who
But then the
is
question,
though?
yeah, isn't the guy with the wings like the what was his name? Like Nikolai Valerievich.
I thought he was a teacher as well.
Oh, was he not the director? Then I'm
I
very
might have just
confused.
missed that, to be honest.
Oh no, Portnov. I wrote down as the director, but I don't recall.
Oh, maybe he is the author. I do like that
Oh!
theory. I like that theory a lot.
Oh my god. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Sold. Yeah, that's it.
I'm sold on that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting.
That's a
Thank you
really
so
good
much.
theory. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see if I have nearby the next book club book. I know that I bought it. What did I do with it?
I don't think I even know the next book, so I'm going to get a surprise as well as everyone else.
You're the one that suggested it.
Oh, okay. Then it's fine.
Hey, hey now.
I didn't know that's the order we're going with.
Well, you asked, so I said yes.
Okay. Ooh, because Sasha saying no to it all being a dream means she unlocks the story. So that tracks.
Oh,
Oh!
oh, that's so big brain. I love that. Yes. I feel
That's
like we're
so
actually
good.
making sense of this.
Oh, we did it, guys. We did it. Oh, that's so
That's
interesting.
so interesting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
That makes so much sense.
yeah. Love it. Oh, thank you, everyone. Oh my God, I finally feel like I understood some of the story.
I feel like it's one of those books where like the more you sit with it, the more like you can unlock, and also the more you talk to other people about it,
Mm,
like the more it starts to make sense.
yeah.
Yeah, we needed this chat to make sense of things too, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. Thank you. It was an amazing team effort. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I feel so relieved. Like, oh, thank God. It's
Finally, it
making
makes
sense
sense.
now.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Damn, we got there in the end. It's good.
Yeah. And now I'm really curious to see the way the story will continue.
Exactly. Imagine the next book comes out and it's like, nope, you're wrong.
It's fine. We're gonna
It's
do
fine.
a separate. We're gonna do a second live show, and we're gonna read the book, and everyone can help us figure out the story again.
Exactly. Should we share the next one?
Okay.
Okay. The next one is way more sci-fi than fantasy. But we're staying on a theme, it seems. Sci-fi and fantasy. Well, the first one wasn't sci-fi or fantasy, but yeah, it's a much shorter one, so everyone might feel relieved to know that. And it's We by Yevgeny Zamyatin.
It's
It's said to have inspired George Orwell, so I'm really, really freaking curious about it. But yeah,
yeah,
this is the one.
and it's quite a short one, so
Yeah,
hopefully,
it's
we'll go through it quite easily. We'll
and the
see.
font is like actually not
Humane.
they actually had mercy on us with this one. It's only like 225 pages. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm really excited about this one.
and as usual, the Vita Nostra discussion in our Discord group will go into the archived ones. If someone sees this live show at any point afterwards, feel free to join our Discord group. You can drop in there even if you have finished the book, I don't know, months later. You can still chat about it. You can see what everyone had to share. In the meantime, we're gonna create a new one for the new book, and I cannot wait to hear everyone's thoughts. Everyone is so big brained. Love that for us. Um, you're all amazing and great, and thank you very much. I'll actually share the link if I figure out how to do it.
Do you want me to do it?
If it's easier for you, but I think I got it. I think I can do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I will save the live on my channel so that if anyone wants to go back and watch it, or if anyone missed it as well. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. This was good. I loved it. I finally made sense of that.
yeah. And just before we go, I'm just going to read Estrel's comments because on page 368, Sasha and Farid have a conversation where she is, "You taught me to be afraid," and he says, "I simply directed your fear." So that also checks out with all the theories.
Also, before we go, I actually realized I can do a cool thing, and so that if someone is watching this live afterwards, they can see the link to Discord. I don't know how to do any of this from the computer. Oh my god, I'm so bad at Discord. Oh, invite people. There we go.
There we go.
Copied. Let's see if this snazzy new app that we're using is gonna work. There we go.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm doing
yeah, please.
technology.
We are very technologically challenged millennials. This is our first proper live show. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for such a fruitful conversation. Once again, please do join our Discord. We talk about some fun stuff on the side as well if you're interested. And again, I cannot wait to hear everyone's thoughts. If you hate the book, don't blame me. I don't know anything about it besides the fact that I want to read it. So
No, I go into every single book club that I'm a part of. Like whenever I choose a book, I'm like, yes, I'm gonna choose this book I want to read. I know nothing about. I might hate it, but like at least we
Okay.
read it.
Yeah, one more added to the pile.
The ever growing piles.
Yeah, you cannot see mine at least.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone, and hope you have a very lovely evening and the rest of your week. And happy reading.
Happy reading. Bye.